So this is a review for Early to Bet, and with me today, because he needs to pay off all his gambling debts, is my good friend Manny Cruz, the Toonie Tenor. Say hi!
Gambling debts, that's a euphemism for student loans.
So as mentioned, this is Early to Bet, released on the 12th of May 1951. It had a blue ribbon reissue sometime in 1959. It's the 620th in the series, and it's directed by Bob McKimson. You can find this on the Looney Tunes Golden Collection Volume 1 DVD set. However, there is a brand new HD version out there. It used to be on a service, but now it's not. So hopefully one day we'll get a nice Blu-ray set with all of these unreleased cartoons. In case you haven't seen this one, I can't show you the full thing here due to copyright on YouTube, but we are introduced to a gambling bug. He ends up going on a vacation, I believe. It was a vacation, wasn't it? I'm trying to remember why he left in the first place.
Yeah, they never explained it.
I'm assuming he's on vacation or something, and then he sees a cat, and he keeps on convincing the cat to gamble, and of course the cat has very bad luck, and he ends up losing, and he's having to spin the wheel and get punished accordingly by this dog.
Gesundheit.
What is this, like the second or third cartoon that this McKimson Bulldog, because I'm afraid if I say McKimson Dog, people are thinking of the Barnyard Dog from the Foghorn series. I love the voice Mel Blanc does for him, and just like the very calm and collected, I don't want to say pompous, but yeah, I guess he has like a little air of pompousness in how he speaks. Okay, cat, we're gonna gamble a little bit. We're gonna play gin rummy.
Okay, gin rummy for penalties.
He doesn't have, well, New York accent, that's definitely the cat. Hey, what's the big idea?
Hey, what's the big idea? I don't need this 10. Oh, no, you don't. I still got my finger on it, wise guy.
Best line in the cartoon, kills me every time. Sounds like my dad a little bit. What's the big idea? Because my dad says soda. He's like, hey, you gotta go to the store and you gotta buy me some soda. I was like, oh, I didn't know that the A in soda is pronounced E-R. I've been learning that wrong all this time.
Just two bits of trivia just to get out of the way. They're very brief. Now, the title itself, that's just a play on the term early to bed. You know, early to bed, early to rise.
Man, healthy, wealthy, wise. Yes. Ah, look at that.
Time. That's right. We finish each other's sentences, or, yeah. We're practically married at this point. But this is a long-distance relationship.
Yeah, just don't tell your wife.
We have here.
Shut up.
But if you want something that's fairly obscure, that whole...
The gambling bug will get you if you don't watch out.
Now remember, folks, the gambling bug will get you if you don't watch out.
That appears to be spoofed off this really obscure, well, at least to me anyway, poem, and probably to most people, Little Orphan Annie, where the goblins will get you if you don't watch out. Permit me to read this public domain poem. I'll read the first bit of it. Little orphaned Annies come to a house to stay and wash the cups and saucers up and brush the crumbs away and shoo the chickens off the perch and dust the hearth and sweep and make the fire and bake the bread and earn her board and keep. And all us other children, when the supper things is done, we sit around the kitchen fire and has the modest fun. Are listening to the witch tales and Annie tells about and the goblins and gets you if you don't watch out. And I'm sure the Aussiness of my delivery there was not intended, but yeah, it comes from a poem written by James Whitcomb Riley. So there you go. You know, you come here for the cartoons and I give you the obscurity. So there you go. So
the way that you said the poem, it reminds me of another McKimson cartoon, minus the Aussie accent. Hollywood Canine Cantina poem. Roses are red, violets are blue. If skunks had a college, they'd call it PU.
Roses are red, violets are blue. If skunks had a college, they'd call it PU.
Just change the delivery a little bit, like you'll sound just like that guy. I like that cartoon a lot. Something about I know it's not the most well-regarded, early McKimson cartoon, but there's just something about it I think it's charming. But anyway, back to this one. Sorry.
So this is actually the second of the two shorts where you had this cat, this dog, and a third character that would cause some sort of torment. I think it's a shame that there was no more shorts with this dog and cat, and then a third character that would cause some sort of mischief. Now, my theory here is that it's simply because the writer of this cartoon, Warren Foster, he changed units to Frizz Feelings unit, and that's it. Like McKimson or his new writer, Ted Pierce, just didn't have any interest in it. I don't know.
I agree. I'm a fan of these cartoons with the McKimson cat or a derivative of the McKimson cat and the McKimson Bulldog and I guess, can you call the Gambling Bug the antagonist and the Hummingbird from It's Hummer Time the antagonist? Both of these shorts, I really enjoy them. I used to see these two a lot on Looney Tunes on Nickelodeon. Warren Foster went to the Freeling unit and Ted Pierce went to the McKimson unit, and you see the changes in the stories and whatnot. It could have been just another issue of studio politics, and Warren Foster, Freeling wanted to specifically work with Foster, and since McKimson was the lowest member of the directing team in terms of seniority, he was given Ted Pierce, who by accounts was considered the weakest of the three writers when you compare him to Mike Maltese and Warren Foster. This period from the late 40s to the early to mid 50s with McKimson's output, I really enjoy. And just story-wise too, it comes up with some really out there stories, from the McKimson and Foster team. I mean, I'm thinking of Hillbilly Hare. I'm thinking of these two cartoons in particular, some of the early Foghorn shorts. There's just a lot of energy that sadly left when Ted Pierce came over. And you could say, especially when you get to the mid to late 50s, that his work became a little bit more, just relying on parodies of TV and things of that nature.
As for this short, right away, what stood out to me is Mel Blanc's wonderful voice work. Like how he just does the voices of all these different characters, the narrator and all the different patrons of this gambling bug in the very beginning.
What do you say, Luigi? Double or nothing?
Please, senor, no more toss of the coin, just to pay the check. I'll bet you $5 that fly lands on my glass first. It's a bet.
It's just absolutely amazing, and I know I've said this a lot, but wow, Mel Blanc was truly a master at that sort of thing, where it's one guy, and yet everyone sounds distinctive, and yet you still know it's Mel Blanc. It's fantastic.
You hit the nail on the head. The cat in particular, I could just listen to Mel Blanc doing that character's voice all day long, with just, especially when he gets bitten by the gambling bug. So come on, cut the cards, come on, waste time, cut the cards. And just the energy, and it really is remarkable to think that it's literally the same guy talking to himself. When I saw a video years ago of, I think it was Inside the Actors Studio, of Harry Shearer doing the voices of Smithers and Mr. Burns. I mean, it's impossible for him to do them simultaneously, but just going back and forth. And I'm assuming that when Mel Blanc was reading for these characters, that he would read all the lines for the Bulldog first, then he would read the lines for the cat second. Man, it would be so cool to see like him switching between both of those characters in a moment's notice. And it's difficult enough to do one voice, but just to do both of those so well, it's a testament to his skill.
Of course, we can't count out, pardon the pun, because these are gambling-themed short here. But Stan Freberg, he does the voice of the gambling bug. Of course, it's sped up as well, and he's certainly no slouch either. I love the whole, let's try that again. That kind of voice. It does an excellent job here, and sadly he's uncredited because of the exclusivity deal that Mel Blanc had, but he's given his due in Keith Scott's wonderful Cartoon Voices book, and that's where I got that confirmation from. So, despite Mel Blanc's wonderful vocal work, I mean, the short wouldn't be nearly as good as it is without the wonderful animation here, and it's, I guess, not as wild, as good perhaps as in the previous years of McKimson shorts when he had other animators in his team, but in this case, I love things like when the cat gets shocked, when the dog says "chin," and you can see just the look of sheer terror on the cat's face. And, of course, the animation of the cat when he says,
Oh, no, you don't. I still got my finger on it, wise guy.
I still got my finger on... Like, the delivery, yes, but also that animation just stood out to me in that one scene. It is absolutely fantastic.
I love when the dog, instead of putting the gum inside the cat's mouth, he flicks the piece of gum into the cat's mouth. And it's just that whole scene of the cat chewing the gum and blowing the bubble and everything. I'm assuming that it is the animation of Rod Scribner, and it just looks so wild and so energetic. And I go crazy for it. I mean, there's some sections of this cartoon. I'm trying to remember if it was the commentary that I listened to, but I think there might have been where the sections that they had the gambling bug talking to himself. I think that was Charles McKimson that was doing those scenes when the gambling bug was talking. He was just more like reserved, calm. And then you were mentioning the part with the cat. I think, come on, cut the cards. Just basing on what I can see and what I can recognize, I think that's Emery Hawkins. And anytime I see an Emery Hawkins scene, I just love the energy that he brings into the scenes he animates and just the overall insanity of Rod Scribner's animation in this cartoon. It's a shame that, because I'm thinking of Rod Scribner's work when he worked in the Clampett unit, just how insane his stuff was, and just, you know, as the years went on and when he was working in the McKimson unit, that he was he had to calm down a bit in his insanity, because for better for worse it wouldn't work in that 50s style. And I think that would have been the case for regardless of what director if he was with, if he was in McKimson or Jones or Freeling, that his completely rubbery wacky style wouldn't necessarily fit those cartoons that proceeded in the 50s, especially when the budgets were getting slashed. It would just stand out too much, and I think it would just provide too much of a contrast to the more stilted stuff that was around him. And I don't mean that in like a negative way, because there's a lot of great cartoons in the 50s, but it would stand out. I see that zaniness of the Scribner animation, and for me it kind of breaks my heart, because it's just more and more of a sign that insanity of the 40s is slowly dying away more and more and more, as the cartoons more towards, you know, more verbal jokes and dialogue, and slapstick's still there, but not to the insanity that it was during the war years.
But at least, still at this point, we get some nice animation, which no doubt you guys have been seeing during what I've been editing over us talking. But there's also something else that stood out to me, and that was some of the music in this. And I'll point out first one interesting thing I noticed, and that in the span of, I think, 20 seconds or something, we get We're in the Money, we get Powerhouse, and we get Four Leaf Clover, just one after another. Bang, bang, bang.
Even a gambling bug needs a vacation once in a while.
And it's like, whoa, okay, he's really cranking out the hits here. What else can you tell us about the music in this one?
Yeah, we definitely have some, as the kids would say, we have some bangers in here. So, cartoon in the opening title starts with Camptown Races from Stephen Foster. Like you mentioned, We're in the Money, when the gambling bug is doing his thing. There's a piece of music that I didn't recognize called There Is a Tavern in the Town, which is, I couldn't find the name of the composer. That's during the, I gotta see which glass is he gonna land on foist. Of course, the lovely New York accent. I liked how he used the merry-go-round broke down. I'm looking over a four-leaf clover during that scene that we both love, where the dog is looking for the cat. He pulls him underneath from the barn. Frat. Blues of the Night is the theme song for whenever the cat has to spin the wheel. I love the melody of Blues in the Night. I'm forever blowing bubbles during a scene where the cat has to make the bubbles. And again, I'm just cracking up at all these puns. I thought it was interesting that for one of the torture scenes during the William Tell torture, he actually uses the William Tell overture from Rossini. But of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the theme of the torture itself, minus the William Tell scene, Raymond Scott's Powerhouse, in particular the B section. And it was also used, kind of a nice little throwback to when he did the same thing in Summer Time. I really wish they did more of these, man. It's a bummer, because you really had an opportunity to play with it. Just the torture or punishments themselves, they could have had a field day with that.
Exactly. But which one's your favorite punishment? Not for you personally, but in the cartoon.
Oh, yeah. Well, subscribe to my Patreon. No. I could say the bubblegum scene, because I just love how crazy, and I'm assuming it's a Rod Scribner animation. It's quick, but during the William Tell scene, just the plunger hitting I can see it in my head. The plunger hitting him right in the face does crack me up. So
That's great. It was a nice
Yeah.
little topper.
Mhm.
Like, you think, oh yeah, he's like, you know what, I better put this big old apple instead of this tiny little apple to at least have a chance here. And then,
boom.
nah, it turns into it's a plunger instead of an arrow. I thought that was fantastic. Look, the other ones are great too, but that one just, I guess, stood out the most. And that brings me to, is this better than Hummer Time or not? Because some might like Early to Bet better, and some like Hummer Time. If I'm being honest, I slightly prefer Hummer Time only because I prefer Mel Blanc's desperation. They're like, not happy birthday. Like, he's delivering that one I prefer.
Oh, not happy birthday. No, not that. Please, no. Not happy birthday.
And I think the punishments there, such as the mentioned happy birthday, I think are funnier. With that said, this cartoon's great. And now my good friend Luke Perkins has recorded a bit for this review, so take it away, Luke.
Hey, glad to record this one. I'm happy to do a McKimson cartoon when I get the chance, because I'm actually a pretty big fan of Robert McKimson as a director. Sure, nothing will top him as an amazing animator with a lot of strong draftsmanship, that's for sure. But I think he directed some genuinely funny cartoons that sort of helped keep a bit of the wacky side of Looney Tunes humor going, that was started by Tex Avery, pushed by Clampett, and kept around by Arthur Davis. Me and a friend of mine, Eli Copperman, were talking about McKimson's cartoons of this era before the shutdown, and he said what he liked about them was that, and I'm gonna quote him on this one, on top of having this natural harsh edge to them, they allow one character to stand out for who they are. It's a special quality that many others didn't have, unquote. Now, there's a bit of nostalgia in this cartoon for me, as I remember watching this cartoon from a disc of the first volume of the Looney Tunes Spotlight Collection, which I know, they're just the Golden Collection but compressed, which my mom brought me to get me into Looney Tunes, which I didn't actually watch until I got the Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner movie, which was the one that properly introduced me to the Looney Tunes. I talk about that more in Rabbit Fire, which literally comes out after this one, and I actually recorded that one before I recorded this one, so if this becomes confusing in what I talk about, I do apologize. But the thing is, aside of those, I never fully got into Looney Tunes until around, I'd say 2018 to 2019, when these animation reels on YouTube by Down the Inkwell, which you should check out by the way, would do those reels of animators from the Golden Age, and would identify the scenes of what each animator did. Those were also the first time I saw clips of certain Looney Tunes shorts I didn't even know about either. And I should also give credit to Devin Baxter's animator breakdown articles on Cartoon Research, which you should also check out by the way, because they're really great and really eye-opening too. And he also did a breakdown on this cartoon as well. Now, let's actually get into the cartoon. I absolutely love it. I'd say it's one of my favorite 50s McKimsons, but it's kind of one of my favorite McKimson cartoons as well. Now, this one is a bit of a sequel to its Hummer Time, with how it both includes this McKimp cat and this bulldog who just loves to punish the cat with all these sort of elaborate ways, that it sends the cat in fear every time he pisses the bulldog off by accident, or in this case, the cat fails in a gambling match. In terms of the elaborate punishments the bulldog has created to the point where he has files among files of them, not to mention his own personalized casino wheel, I go with William Tell because that seems the least painful. Of course, when the cartoon involves gambling and money, the leitmotif of the cartoon is, we're in the money, we're in the money. Oh man, depression, you have always done us wrong. You also have other reoccurring leitmotifs in this one, like the frat march when the cat is bit by the gambling bug and immediately becomes excited, a lovingly arranged version of Blues in the Night when the cat loses to the dog, and of course, Raymond Scott's for the punishments. You also hear this one cue when the cat turns into a sucker when he fails his first card game, which was a theme in the Snafu shorts. According to Eric Goldberg, that cue actually has lyrics, and it's, "Who's a horse's ass?" Now, I love the design of the gambling bug, but it's also really interesting that it's never really specified what kind of bug as an insect he is. Like, is he an ant or a beetle of some kind? He's kind of this small guy with antennas and this clown nose, and he also has this snazzy suit he wears. I actually remember drawing the gambling bug one time, and the McKim cat from memory actually in 2019, and I posted it as well in my art page on Instagram, which is Luke's drawing page, by the way. That's a bit of a shameless self-promotion right there, if you scroll far enough to find him. Now, to me, the highlight of this cartoon is Emery Hawkins' animation on this one. The way he animates the cat and the dog on their first card match, he really pushes their individual personalities and emotions. The cat's excitement when he wants to join the card game, and the bulldog keeping his cool because he knows the cat is gonna lose anyway. To the absolute disappointment the cat feels when he loses the game. Like, that face and that walk, I genuinely get that and feel it a lot. That's the face anyone makes when they accidentally made their parents mad and they have to go to timeout. I love it. I absolutely love it. It kills me. And that's actually all I have to say about this cartoon. So, I'll see you all when we get to Rapid Fire.
In terms of rating, this one's 8 out of 10 for me. I enjoy it. I like it. It's funny. It's maybe not my go-to for whatever reason. I don't know why. But like I said, I slightly prefer Hummer Time a little bit more, but that's okay.
I also would probably put Hummer Time a little bit more than this one because, yeah, like you said, the vocal deliveries are phenomenal, especially on the happy birthday thing. But I've always enjoyed this one. Again, I enjoyed watching this one as a kid. It still holds up incredibly well as an adult. 8 out of 10 sounds good for me.
That'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, the goblins will get you if you don't watch out. If you don't subscribe to the channel, I'll read that entire poem from start to finish, alright? The entire thing. And it's in public domain, so I can definitely do it. So, yeah, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and yeah, until next time, take care.
Not that, not the unsubscribe button.
Oops! No, not that! Not the post! Oh, no! Not that! Not the post!